Hi class, I wanted to welcome you to Discussion Board Week 4, Making Reading and Writing Connections. And I wanted to make this video to show you a few resources that I have used in the past and kind of walk you through with them. I'm going to attach them as well, but I kind of wanted to explain them also. Real quick, the writing traits really important and how they connect to reading. There's an awesome resource in our book on page 60. Can't really see it, but page 60. You have the traits listed on the left-hand side, and on the right-hand side, you have books to go with it. One thing about little kids is they are like sponges. I know in the past I've had people say, oh, they can't take in that much. Well, it's actually the opposite. They can take in a lot, and they just absorb it, and they put it into practice, which is so neat to see when you're doing reading and writing workshop. So another resource I wanted to share. Up here you have your Writing Fix website, and I will attach this, but if you scroll down you'll see a lot of books. There's also some other good stuff on this website too, but you'll see the books and what writing trait goes with each book. So the Three Bears and a Voice lesson is perfect to use, especially when the kids are writing stories. So if you scroll down, you have a sentence fluency lesson, and you have organization, so every trait here. These are great books to use. All right, another real quick, this is off a tiny bit of a tangent, but this is the way I taught paragraphs to my kids, and I also related it. We also would, read in books and show how, look at the authors, what they do, and correlate to that. But I always use the hamburger method. I'm sure you've heard of it. You have some organizers down here. There's two different ones. One thing I always did when my kids would write is I would let them have a choice. They could choose what type of organizer they wanted to use, like we talked about our learning styles in week 3. Some kids, just like a different visual to use. So there's two organizers there, and here's the website I'll include as well. But we made something similar to this. This one's used with a mint cookie. I think we used a chocolate cookie, vanilla wafer. You have yellow frosting and coconut that's dyed green, and that just is kind of a fun lesson to introduce how to write one. And I know what we did is I had cut out parts of a hamburger with different toppings such as tomatoes, pickles, mustard, ketchup, lettuce, and what the kids did is they organized their paragraph, and then eventually after a couple of revisions they would put it together they had writing paper on like the bun and the details, and they would put it together, and they just turned out really cute. But that just seemed to stick with them when they would go on into their writing and get older. So a couple other things down here is I wanted to show you a writing rubric. I always did a rubric that the kids knew and that they could also assess their self. Important thing with all of these resources, the kids need taught. They need to know how to use it, why they use it, why is it meaningful to them, instead of a teacher giving them a 4 and they have no idea what that 4 is, they just know it's good. So all of these things that I'm going over, the kids need to be taught how to use them. But with this is what I did. I correlated this to my district's writing rubric. So obviously, yours would probably look a little different. But one of the big things I wanted to show you is, I always had pictures with the words because, not all second graders are fluent. Well, this is for second grade, especially at the beginning of the year with their reading and writing. So I kind of wanted to show you what I did is I broke up our rubric for our school, and then I added pictures to it. And the kids what they did is I printed these off and I laminated them, and then they had a dry erase marker and they could check off. So we would reuse these. So it's not something that you would use once and throw away. They would always use this during their writing time when they would revise or edit, or even at the end when they would do a peer review with each other before they would write their final draft. So you can kind of look over this. You can save it and use it if you want, or make it compatible to what you use in your classroom now or what you might use in the future. Another thing that we did was checklist. Here you'll have the writing steps. I always had the kids had a writing folder, and in the writing folder they would have this first, and then they'd have the revising checklist, and down here their editing checklist. Now this is something we would also go over, like I said before. We would go spend about the first 2 weeks of school actually how a writing workshop worked, and we would do little mini lessons to go along with the writing steps. All right, I think I have one more for you. These are just some graphic organizers. These are more like second to third grade. There's so many awesome websites out there too for different graphic organizers, but I always had many to choose from that were already in their writing folder so they can kind of look through and choose what they wanted to for that writing assignment. And some of them obviously were very specific to what we would write, and then others were a little more vague. So you can kind of look through there and see if you might want to use one in the future or just save them for down the road. So those are just some of the things I wanted to share with you guys, and I'm really excited to read everyone's posts. Have a great week.